Oh yeah. Just as I was working on these, I realised I should be making a video. Because I've had 12 months to do this and there's 2 days before my MOT, I thought I'd better do these. These are the shock absorbers off the back of the van. And the tin covers were a bit shaky last year, but this year they rusted right round and broke off. But the top part, you can just make it out there, from there up. Well, it was half decent, but I've cut it off, so I left 2 inches, and I made some fiberglass tubes, and I had to slit the tube to get it around, squeezed it back together, bonded the tube to the remaining piece of metal using filler, 2 rubber bands to clamp it up, pulled it together with some tape, rubbed a bit of filler in the crack just to glue it together, rubbed it down, and I put a narrow band of glass and then a wider band of glass over it, and that's bonded it together, and put a flow coat of resin on and rubbed it down. It's a bit of old paint because it's a bit of old cloth that I had. That's three layers of 300 gram weave cloth, and they're pretty stiff. They're pretty good. Whoopsie, just made a cracking noise, never mind. But that's good enough, because a pair of those quoted locally was 140 quid. So I'm afraid I've repaired them instead. They're not leaking, they're perfectly okay. It's just these tin covers. I could have just cut them off and left them, but I thought it was a bit of a lash up, so I've put these on, and that'll do. I moulded these on a pair of cartridge tubes. I'll show you in a second. One of these here tubes was virtually the right diameter for the butt diameter. So what I did is I put some cardboard round to build the tube diameter up to what I thought. So I put 1 layer of card round and made the cardboard just butt fit together, taped it on with some masking tape, and then I put this parcel tape around to make it slippery, so it would just, once I slit the fiberglass off, I could unpeel it, take it off the cartridge, and then this would just unpeel and come straight out, and that's how it came out. Didn't leave any cardboard or anything like that inside. It just pulled out easy as anything. And I just trimmed up the length of the tube, and I've fitted them to the shock absorbers like I've just explained, and now I'm rubbing them down. And out here in the sun, well, I've got about 2 minutes working time on the fiberglass, and the filler is about 30 seconds, so it flashes off like mad in the sun. It's the ultraviolet off the sun that sets it off, something chronic. So, you know, it's better to do the fiberglass work indoors and then bring it out in the sun to set it off. But that's saved me a lot of money. It didn't take very long, and what I did, I'll just shut this down and do another video. I'll have to use this as and pretend that's the mould, or I'll swap it for this cartridge. Let's just check that you can see that. Yeah, what I did is I had a length of cloth that was long enough to go around twice, and initially I did twice. I stuck it on with the resin, wrapped it round. I won't put it straight on the tube because I don't think you get it off unless you slit it. So if you've got an old tube, fine, but I had to build it up with cardboard to get the diameter bigger. So that, and then covered it in tape. But put that on, fiberglass it, and keep dragging it around. Once it overlaps itself and comes around the second time, what was happening, let's just say that was there, and then the second lot came round, it kept standing up in the air like that. So this is all wet with resin. What I did is took some masking tape, stuck it on, and slid it along until it overlapped at the edge, and I had plenty of length that would go right off the end, and then took another length and put it on and stuck it down, and that was enough. Yep, that was enough draped on to hold that down nice and flush. Once that flashed off out in the sun and gone hard, this just peeled off as easy as anything. Just came off and it left that nicely pressed down onto the other cloth. Once I rubbed that down and made it keyed up, you can't just paint resin straight on top of shiny resin that's hard, it won't stick. So keyed it right off so that it looked like that. I haven't finished rubbing that one down. Then, because it felt a little bit thin, I did it again, put another layer of cloth on, and like I said before, where that cloth comes around and it was sticking up in the air, overlapping the other cloth, like that, that's when I put the tape on it again to hold it down, and I dragged the tape around to hold that down. I didn't think of making a video. So once that had cured out in the sun, for half an hour I think it was rock hard, and then I'm rubbing it down now. I took that off, and I put on a flow coat of resin to fill up all the weave. Just painted on a layer of resin, as much as you can get on, let it drip it on the floor, and then I'm rubbing it down. I'm not going to do much more than that, and just flash over a few coats of satin black paint. I might put on a couple and just nib that off and paint the rest on, and that'll be it. Slap them back on the van. But that's saved me 140 quid for, I don't know, a couple hours work. It doesn't take long, not really. I'm doing other stuff in between waiting for this to set, but I thought it was a simple little thing to do using this, which was virtually the right diameter, and just put some card round, make it up, and that works great. Put the parcel tape round so it doesn't stick, and as you can see I made it that long, just right to trim it off. So that was that. Ideal. I've just had a really silly idea. What you could do, even on good shock absorbers, if you really want to be really anal, is get some carbon fibre twill, because it's 2 strands over 2 and it drapes better, and wrap it around, glue it on, nib off the edge, and put on, like I just said, a flow coat of resin, rub it down, wet sand it and polish that fiberglass. They look fantastic, and you could bring the fiberglass right up to here and it would just fit over it, so you could have carbon shock absorber covers. I could have done it on here, but I'm not going to do that. I just put some primer on, it's a bit soft. And but what I should have said as well, when that cloth that I used for this was straight plain weave, one over each other, but if you use twill, it looks like it's at a 45-degree weave, but it isn't. It's still woven 90-degree weaves, but it's over 2, under 2, over 2, and it absolutely drapes a lot better. It's a better draping cloth. So if you were going to buy some cloth, get twill